The tranquility Anthony dreamed of, leaving Amarillo's clamor behind for his sprawling ranch outside of Deline, was shattered one crisp March morning. Stepping out with his coffee, he froze. A monstrous gleaming fence now imprisoned his property, a steel gate bolted shut, emblazoned with a sign, Lakeside Meadows Homeowners Association. His cattle, his very livelihood, were penned. The access road to the county highway, his lifeline, was cut off. The key held by Marjorie Kane, the formidable HOA president. Could this really be happening? Just 6 weeks here, and his decades of savings, his aching back from carving out this dream, were being suffocated by rules, arrogance, and a padlock he didn't own. He confronted the HOA workers, their faces impassive. Then Marjorie arrived, a silver SUV. Sharp suit, sharper heels. Non-compliance? Anthony demanded, his voice trembling with disbelief. My fence is for livestock, not golf course aesthetics. My animals need water from that creek. Marjorie's smile was a cruel blade. It's in the covenant, Mr. Ridley. The stack of papers he'd blindly signed flashed through his mind. Was he truly locked in? Until you comply, she dismissed him. The gate clanging shut, the lock clicking like a final judgment. Could this be real? That night, over coffee with his longtime neighbor, Glenn Porter, Anthony learned the chilling truth. Marjorie runs this place, Glenn warned. She'll make your life hell. You want a fight? You'll get one, and she won't back down. Anthony gazed at his ceiling. This land wasn't just dirt. It was his very soul, his future. He wouldn't be pushed around. The next morning he began gathering every document, every scrap of proof. If Marjorie wanted a war, he'd bring one she couldn't imagine. The first HOA meeting felt like walking into a lion's den. Marjorie, imperious, announced his compliance matters before the meeting even began. He listened to the petty grievances, the endless rules. When his name was called, the echo of his boots was deafening. Your fence doesn't meet specifications, Marjorie declared. Anthony laid out his case. This is a ranch. My fence is functional. He even pointed out other non-compliant fences, exposing their hypocrisy. A murmur rippled through the room. Marjorie quickly tried to shut him down, but his question hung in the air. You're blocking my cattle's water source. That's not just wrong, it's dangerous. She scoffed about satellite imagery, but Glenn, bless him, spoke up, urging caution. Marjorie, however, was unyielding. Fines will continue, legal action, if necessary. Anthony walked away, his insides churning. The community was clearly divided, some offering hushed support, others avoiding his gaze. Glenn later revealed her deep connections in the county. She plays hardball, Anthony, he cautioned. She wants control. But Anthony was resolute. I'm not playing her game. She wants a battle. I'll bring one she's not ready for. He had no idea how personal, how public this fight would become. His mailbox became a daily reminder of Marjorie's escalating tactics. Notices, fines, each more aggressive than the last. Visual inconsistency, he scoffed to Glenn, holding up a letter. I'm raising cattle, not hosting weddings. Glenn confirmed their strategy. They're trying to bleed you dry. Anthony decided to attend the next meeting, was to observe, sensing a deeper game. He watched Marjorie rattle off petty infractions, her tone cold, efficient, backed by the implicit threat of escalation. Afterwards, Paula Green, another neighbor, approached him. They're going to run you down, she warned. She only cares about winning. Anthony's heart sank. Why did people let her win? Because trouble feels expensive, Paula whispered. He understood then. The HOA wasn't just enforcing rules. It was enforcing fear. He was drawing a line. He called for mediation, walking in with photos of his struggling cattle, maps, every document he had. Marjorie, smug, already knew the outcome. We'll waive some fines if you replace your fence, the mediator offered. That's not a compromise, Anthony retorted. Most people don't have their animals trapped behind a locked gate. This is my livelihood. Marjorie's eyes were cold. We'll be in touch. The meeting ended in stalemate. That night on his porch, listening to his cattle, Anthony knew. The quiet paperwork war was about to explode into something far more public, far more dangerous. The breaking point arrived on a blustery Thursday. His cattle were frantic, bellowing near the new fence. The creek, their primary water source, was entirely cut off. He climbed the fence, rattling the locked gate, the steel shackle mocking him. No one answered. Frantic, he called the HOA office. "My cattle need water immediately," he yelled. "This is animal welfare." The receptionist was dismissive. "Other water points exist. Those are backups. Do you want to be responsible for dead cattle?" he roared. Unmoved, she offered to forward his concern. That afternoon, he drove directly to Marjorie's immaculate home. "This isn't about fines," he stated, voice shaking. "It's about my animals. You're cutting off their water." Her response was a chillingly rehearsed mantra. "The HOA operates under uniform standards, undermines community integrity." Integrity. His voice rose, raw with emotion. "You're talking about a fence. I'm talking about living creatures." Her expression remained a mask. "Rules are rules." He clenched his fists, forcing himself to step back. "This isn't over, Marjorie." As he walked away, he saw curtains twitching. The whole neighborhood was watching. This wasn't just his fight anymore. It was a spectacle. His herd soon showed signs of distress. Hauling water became an exhausting, expensive battle. Glenn helped, lamenting, "She's trying to wear you down. She won't get what she wants." Anthony vowed, wrench in hand. The stress mounted, sleep became a luxury. Then came another HOA letter, a photo of his slightly tilted water tank, deemed a safety hazard. "Harassment," Glenn declared. "Marjorie," Anthony simply stated. But then, a glimmer of hope. A for sale sign on the small half-acre lot, containing the locked gate. His mind raced. If he owned that land, he owned the gate. The lock would be his. He knew Marjorie would try to stop him, so his next move had to be swift and secret. He consulted Tom Baird, a seasoned local attorney. "They're operating within the covenants." Tom grimly confirmed. "But," he added, tapping the photo of the sign, "if that parcel is separate, and it holds your only access, then yes, you could control it. But you must buy it discreetly. Marjorie can't know it's you." Anthony nodded, a plan forming. He enlisted his old college friend, Brett Lawson, to set up an anonymous LLC. Glenn, always observant, noticed Anthony's unusual focus. When Anthony finally confided his audacious plan, Glenn's grin widened. "That's bold. I like it." Marjorie, however, seemed to sense a shift. She started appearing near the fence, observing him. "Another inspection next week, Mr. Ridley," she announced one afternoon. Anthony simply replied, "My fence isn't changing. You're underestimating me." Their eyes locked in a silent challenge. The next morning, Brett called. The offer was accepted. 2 weeks to closing, a small victory. But Tom warned, "Don't let her know you're holding the winning hand." Keeping the secret was like trying to hold water. He continued his routine, shrugging off questions, but inside he envisioned his key sliding into that lock. Paula Green, ever the informant, whispered that the board was sniffing around that gate lot, talking to surveyors. "Move faster," Anthony urged Brett. "They could tie it up." Brett promised escrow by Friday. The days crawled. Anthony worried Marjorie would swoop in. But on Friday morning, Brett's call delivered the news. "It's done. Locked in." Anthony exhaled, a breath held for months. No celebration. Instead, he made lists. Marjorie would fight, he knew. Sheriff, lawsuits, new rules. But legal ownership would be his. He had to be ready for the fallout, for how this fight would rip through the community. The closing day was gray, heavy. Anthony, in his dusty ranch clothes, drove to Abilene alone. Brett, already there, greeted him with a grin. "Ready to complicate Marjorie's Seth?" Anthony smirked. The LLC protected his name. Brett signed, slid the papers, and within an hour it was sealed. The heavy silver keys, his keys, lay on the table. Brett pushed them over. "They're yours." Anthony felt their weight, not just metal, but pure leverage. For months, Marjorie had wielded control. Now, with one turn of this key, power would shift. They slipped out the back. "You just bought yourself a gate." "And a fight," Brett chuckled. Back at the ranch, Anthony walked to the gate. It looked different now. No longer an obstacle. His. The key slid in. The padlock turned smoothly, the shackle popping open with a sharp final sound. He swung the gate wide, watching his cattle wander toward the creek, a profound sense of control washing over him. This feeling lasted exactly 2 days. On the third morning, Marjorie's white SUV pulled up, two board members in tow. "You've accessed HOA property without authorization," she snapped. Anthony leaned on the gate. "This isn't HOA property anymore. I own this lot." Her eyes narrowed. "Impossible. We had first right of refusal." "Maybe you did," he said, calm as a summer breeze. "But you didn't use it. The seller took my offer." "This gate is mine." One board member shifted. Uncomfortable. "Marjorie, if that's true, we'll see about that." She cut him off. Turning back to him. "Don't think for a second this is over. We'll challenge it." "Challenge whatever you want," Anthony replied, unflinching. "You don't control this access anymore." They left, but the air crackled with tension. Emails flooded his inbox. He forwarded them to Tom. "Let them make the next move," Tom advised. Word spread like wildfire. Neighbors, some congratulatory, others wary, approached him. Glenn, on his porch one evening, noted, "Looks like you lit a fire." "Good," Anthony said. "Maybe this place will finally stop being afraid of Marjorie." But this was only the first round. The real fight, he realized, was about to drag the entire neighborhood into its ugly embrace. The HOA's offensive was swift. A certified letter claimed his ownership was an encroachment. Glenn laughed it off as a bluff. But Anthony knew Marjorie wasn't backing down. Then, ultimate power play, Marjorie at his gate with two sheriff's deputies. "Property dispute," one explained. Anthony calmly presented his deed. "This is my land. Bought it fair and square." The deputy reviewed it. "He owns it, ma'am." Marjorie's jaw tightened. "We'll take this to court." The deputies left, but the scene had drawn a crowd. Sides were forming. Paula Green texted, "Emergency board meeting Monday. New rules targeting you." Anthony arrived early, the room thick with palpable tension. Marjorie wasted no time. Proposing an amendment. HOA authority over any access points serving more than one property. "That's clearly targeting me," Anthony challenged. She denied it, but the debate was fierce. The board split, but the amendment still needed homeowner votes. Neighbors like Frank Delgado pulled him aside. "You might be the first to beat her. Keep going." The fight spilled onto social media, the community page ablaze with posts. Anthony stuck to facts, but the comments revealed a town choosing sides. Then, a shocking anonymous note from Glenn. "Check county clerk filings tomorrow." Anthony's stomach dropped. Marjorie had filed to buy an adjacent strip of county land, a move that would bypass his gate, cutting his leverage in half. Was she trying to scare him? Not a chance. He wouldn't give an inch. Back at Tom's office, Anthony laid out the new threat. "It's clever," Tom admitted, "but it's county land, earmarked for utilities. We can object, lobby the county." "Do it," Anthony insisted. "Whatever it costs." The local paper ran a front-page story. Rancher battles HOA over locked gate. At the feed store, strangers shook his hand. About time someone stood up. In the grocery store, an HOA volunteer muttered, "You're making this harder for all of us." The story hit talk radio, a public debate igniting. His private battle had become a town-wide spectacle. The annual community barbecue felt like a political rally, some wearing Ridley's right pins. Marjorie approached, her smile tight. "Enjoying the event, Mr. Ridley?" "Not as much as I'd enjoy having my time back," he shot back. "You've made your point," she said, trying to regain control. "But the HOA will enforce its rules." Anthony looked her dead in the eye, his voice resonating with newfound power. "You've used fear for years, that stops now." The conversation drew a crowd. Marjorie attempted conciliation. "We can still work this out." "You had that chance months ago," Anthony countered. "You chose the lock instead." She stormed off. Paula called later. She's furious. She's lost control of the narrative. People aren't afraid. Good, Anthony thought. Maybe that's the real win. But he knew Marjorie wasn't done. 2 days later, Tom called. Marjorie had filed a lawsuit, challenging his ownership of the gate lot. Instead of fear, a fierce resolve ignited in Anthony. This wasn't just about his land anymore. This was for every neighbor Marjorie had steamrolled, every voice she had silenced. The summons arrived, a thick packet. Tom confirmed it. "They've got nothing solid. They're hoping you'll get tired and settle." "I'm not settling," Anthony vowed. The case wound Dome County Court, drawing curious locals, supporters, and Marjorie's loyalists. Paula, in the hallway, offered quiet encouragement. Win or lose, you've changed things. People are questioning now. Anthony wanted more than a moral victory. He wanted a real one. That victory arrived on a bright Tuesday morning in early summer. The judge ruled unequivocally his purchase was valid. The title stood. The HOA had no authority over the lot or the gate, and they were ordered to pay his legal fees. A murmur filled the courtroom. Glenn gave a subtle thumbs up. Paula beamed. Outside, reporters clamored. Anthony, calm, concise. This was never about offense. It was about principle. I hope this encourages others to stand their ground. Back at the ranch, he walked to the gate, watching his cattle graze by the creek. The weight was gone. No locked gate, only his land, his freedom. Glenn joined him, beers in hand. Feels good, doesn't it? More than good, Anthony smiled. It's knowing that standing up once can give others courage. They talked about the future. Anthony knew the HOA wouldn't vanish. Marjorie wouldn't give up entirely, but she'd learned her limits. And he'd learned that persistence, backed by truth, could win. Weeks later, a subtle shift. HOA meetings were quieter, board members more careful. Neighbors spoke freely, the years of fear finally cracking. That, Anthony realized, was the true triumph. The lesson was simple. Stop letting others write your rules, and you'll start living on your own terms. If you have your own locked gate, whatever it may be, don't just accept it. Ask questions, push back, and if it's worth the fight, don't stop until you turn that lock with your own key. Your voice matters, your rights matter. No one can fence in your life unless you let them.